Hey guys, GhazzyTV here with another YouTube video guide, but this time it is not for Path of Exile, it is instead for a game I've been recently playing, or have been playing every now and then from time to time during the downtimes of the league between Path of Exile. We're currently waiting for the next expansion, or the next 3.11 patch, or mini league, whatever you want to call it. And I decided to actually get some content out for Escape from Tarkov. So I'm going to start with what I've been doing to make some money, because the thing is, I am not a good FPS gamer. Now, I'm pretty decent. I got pretty decent rank up in Counter-Strike. I played a bit of PUBG. But in general, I'm actually not a very good shooter. I'm more or less an ARPG, RPG kind of gamer. But I have found myself really loving Escape from Tarkov, mainly because there's so many different elements and different genres smacked in together that makes it very entertaining for me to play. So the biggest issue I had when I started playing was actually gear fear, and that's because I never had enough money to purchase new gear pieces as I was playing. So I figured this would be a good video to give in to you guys that are fairly bad at FPS games like me, and also with the new changes that they made in the latest patch, where they are making so that you can only sell things to the flea market that are found in Raid. Now, some people say that you should go to the map called Reserve and play it through there, get some techs, and then sell that. The problem is that most people already know that is a very profitable run, which means that there's a high risk of competition, and if you die, you cannot sell those things. Some of them you can use for your hideout upgrades and whatnot, but not that many. So instead, I actually started running a lot of Shoreline, which is what I'm going to show you, and which will be in the footage here in the background. So basically, the idea of playing this Shoreline key run is this: if you die, you're able to have these keys in your safe container, your Gamma or Kappa, whatever container you have, and that will allow you to then, if you die, still save these keys for something you can use for later runs. Also, some of these keys are actually sellable to the vendors or the NPCs for the same price they sell for on the flea market. So in more cases than not, you're still making profit even if you die. So to start off with explaining how I run these, I think it's best to explain what I do in terms of gear. Now, you can do this with a simple pistol and, just bring a bag or a tack rig or something like that, or just anything that you can put loot in and then do the runs. Now, the reason you want to do this is because part of the run will put you in harm's way to a couple of scavs. Now, scavs shouldn't be an issue. If you do have issues with that, you should practice doing that in offline raids till you feel comfortable with it. So basically, by looking at the map, we are going to be sticking to the east side. According to this map, I know some people use a different map that is flipped upside down, but I'm going to use this one. It's going to be a link of this in the description below. So we're going to stay on the east side of the map for the most part, because that's where we get all the jackets, which host the keys that we're going for. And that's the kind of a crucial part about this. If we spawn in any of the western locations, like the Crane, the Scav Tower, Rock Bridge, or Road to Customs, then you have two different choices. Either you run into the terminal spot and then do the route into Villa, into the east side of Villa, up to the tunnel for extraction, or you simply do something else with it. Sometimes I do like to go into the pier area to loot that and then extract, especially if I spawn in the Crane area. Instead of doing the key run, I then run directly to pier and then move over to Scav Island and then move over to extraction from there. And if I spawn on the right-hand side, then I go through my normal route, which is going through the entire villa, into terminal, and then to my closest extraction. So those are the two different routes that I usually take. But for the most part, I try to prioritize the entire villa run, so to say, because of how efficient it is. So in the gameplay footage, as you can see here, we are spawning down around South Fence Passage, which is in the bottom left corner, according to the map that I'm looking at. And the first thing we do is basically run all the way up through to the rock passage. And then as we get there, we're circling around on the outskirts of Resort, and then we move down to the actual terminal. Now, I prefer to get to a point where I start the run in terminal and move into Villa, because it's pretty comfortable. It also means that my extractions are either pier boat, tunnel, or CCP temp, which are the northern, or the ones on the northern side of this map that I'm looking at. So basically I take down the first scab, and then I'm being very careful with making sure that I look for a second or a third, because there can be up to 3 scabs in this location. So I check them out, and once I feel safe with it, I decide that, hey, we're going to be looting this guy, and I lie down and always keep an eye out or ear out for enemies being in close proximity. So here's where the looting starts. I threw out the white armor because some of the new players might want to do the quest for the white armor, so I threw that out just to be nice. So we do check on the box on the right hand side, and the thing is in this area is that we want to loot as much as possible, because it's better for us to discard a bad loot rather than go out without filling our inventory. And this is going to be more and more important when you come to the villa, because I ignore looting some parts because I fill up my bag too fast because I didn't bring a big enough bag. However, if you're not filling up your stuff, you can always loot some other pieces, which I'm going to show you. Always check the shelves here on the side. In this run I found a fuel, however they're only about 30k in the current state of the flea market, which is pretty fair. Open the door and you get 2 jackets. There's also a cash register that you can loot here just on the side. That cash register it's just basically a bit of money. Now I usually don't do it because they're very loud and they only contain a very small amount of income, so I tend to skip that. And as I make my way out, I always stand still for a little bit. I do that quite often just to make sure that I listen very carefully, because sound cues are the #1 thing that will save your ass when you're playing this game. There are 2 ways of going out of terminal. The way I took there is the safest in my opinion. The other one is through the broken fence on my right hand side coming up here. And basically what I do is that I make sure that I keep an eye out for people down at Villa, because I thought I heard shots in Villa. But I'm not sure if that was Villa or Power Station. I couldn't really tell because it was only 1 shot that was pretty wide in terms of the sound waves. So I check all the corners to make sure that I'm clean and before I start sprinting. And this is also another thing you want to keep in mind. When you're sprinting, keep a keen eye on your stamina. Like, you'd rather not go down to full or go up to full stamina if you want to get somewhere fast, but you never want to go down to the red point of stamina, because if you're getting shot at and you need to run somewhere into cover, you want to make sure you're going to be able to sprint. So try to avoid going down to the red stamina if you can, if you don't know that you're 100% safe. On the couple of cardboard boxes here, there can be a key spawn. It's not very valuable, but it's still money, so hell, why not? In this case, I run back a little bit to get a better high ground, to get a view inside the compound of the first part of Villa, and also check on the right-hand side behind the villas. And then after that, once I feel that, okay, this looks clean, I can move in. Then I run on towards the wall side behind the bush to avoid making sound. And in this location, I'm able to continuously progress through and have a look at enemies, check the corners, just make sure that nothing's going to be there, which is one of the most important things. Again, just listening to the sounds, if there's anything you can hear. So I try to stay out of the bushes, mainly because it's not making sound. And as you can see, we're hearing some shots. I sprint during the shots, make sure we don't get caught with the sound cues. So I stay out of the bushes so I don't make a lot of noise. I get a good view over the entire pathway here, in case somebody runs over the street, for example. And I'm trying to look out for him, slowing myself down. And now is where I move in closer to the gates, in case someone's coming from the far right around the red house. Keep in mind, you can actually shoot through and see through the fence here, but scabs don't do that. Only players, obviously, but scabs don't actually shoot through that fence. So in this location, I'm trying to be very careful, listening for the sound, and keep creeping. Have a look at it, make sure I have my field of view, able to see if anyone's coming out of the gate. Have a quick look. And as you can see here, I stand still as soon as I saw him, in case he was peeking here. I saw that he didn't have much gear on him. So I go out just to spot him. I see that it is in his inventory. And we just tap him down very smooth there. So that's all about making sure that he was not aware of me creeping up. What he was doing there was really, really bad. First, he runs out without checking the corners, and then in the middle of the open, standing up, he's just checking his inventory, and that gives us a bunch of free loot. Another thing you think about is what I'm going to do with the headset here. I've insured my headset, so I throw mine out and I take his. It doesn't matter if I lose mine because I already have one on me, but in case no one loots that headset, which is on the ground on that guy's body, I will get that back on insurance. So if I die, I might get it back because of that, or if I live, then you know, I'll get that headset back on insurance as well. It's directly more money for me. Now I choose not to go in and loot the the safes in the villa, because he came from there, so I completely discard that, and I go into the village area villa, or whatever you want to call it, the side area village. And I see the door into the house on my left was closed, so that might be taken, but probably not. So I start off with going in here, which has a duffel bag and a jacket, and this is where the jacket menace starts pushing. So we're running out of space. We don't have that much value at the moment. It's been a pretty bad run in general, but we get some keys. And a lot of these keys I don't have because it's a completely fresh reset, and there we get a Survive 12 kit, which is fucking beautiful, and something I usually want to keep in my gamma container in general, so that was pretty nice to see. So I looted the duffel bag there, and that's something I tend to only do if I have room in my bags, and that's something to keep in mind. The house I'm in now has two jackets right in front of the door, which I'll loot. And then there are 2 duffel bags on the first floor, and then 1 more duffel bag on the top floor. But as you can see, I'm barely having any room left in my bags. So because of that, I decide not to even bother the duffel bags. They can hold survive kits, they can get paracores, there's so much loot you can get there. And something to keep track of is also how much value things are on the flea market, which will help you determine what you're going to loot, or what you're going to throw, or if it's something's worth bothering. Because in Villa, it's not just the jackets being valuable. There's a lot of building materials such as nails, bolts, screws, wrenches. Even wrenches are going for like 40 to 50,000 rubles right now. It's absolutely insane. So keeping track of that is very important. I had some issues with my loot key. I'm not sure why. It was bugging here. Sorry about that, boys. So we keep checking out the keys. I do believe the 214 key is the one that goes for about 60,000, so we found 2 of those already, so that's 120,000. And again, even if we die, if we put some of these keys in a document case or whatever in a gamma container, then you're fine. You're gonna keep them, and if you die, you can vendor these for pretty much most of the keys sells for almost the same they go for on the market. So you don't lose that much for vendoring them. And then again, if there's a key you want to use, you just keep that for usage instead. So I really like doing these runs. It's not the best direct profit out of it, but it is very efficient, and you're fine. You're gonna profit even if you die. Whereas in many runs, like in Reserve and whatnot, if you don't find like a GPU or some other graph card or something like that, you're gonna be in a situation where you dying means that you're not profiting that much unless you get these purple items. So as you can see, I'm standing still every now and then just to listen, just pay attention to if anyone's nearby, if anyone's going to show up, if you hear anyone, because I heard shots earlier, so I'm a little bit careful in this location. Here I'm checking the corner because I thought I heard steps, and then I moved back because I didn't hear anyone. Go back to check the last jackets. Obviously picked the wrong one. And that's basically how I do it. I keep a keen ear out just to make sure that I never get snuck up upon. And if I hear someone else, I make sure that I'm in a good position knowing where the loot spots are in this place, so that I can always have the upper hand of a fight. So since we heard shots earlier, I'm being very careful. And I'm also contemplating not going to the area that I'm aiming at right now to double check if we're actually going to bother going up there, since I heard shots coming from that general direction. However, I will be doing that in this run just to show you guys where these jackets spawn, to give you an idea of what you can loot. Many people misses that jacket behind the door, so that's also something to keep in mind. Another 306 key, and another safe key. And in this case, I wasn't sure how much that key was worth, so I couldn't really decide if I wanted it. And we just keep looting the jackets. Fuck that up again. And in this case, the storage key went for a lot the first few days, but I do believe it has crashed a lot in value now. And we keep looting. So again, as you can see in my gear, I brought an ADAR, the cheapest shit armor, and a penis helmet, and the cheapest headset. You don't have to do that. I just feel more comfortable having a headset on for the sake of sound, because I value audio cues so much in this game, because I'm not a good FPS gamer, which helps me a lot in fights by allowing me to have the upper hand in terms of positioning, allowing me to be the one aware of the enemy's position before they are aware of my existence is very valuable. On the left hand side is a hidden stash, and there's another one in one of those circular thingies as well on my left hand side. So there's 2 stashes you can loot as well in case you have room in your bags. But again, like I mentioned, my bags are full, so I don't really need anything. So what I'm doing here, I'm checking if the door's open because I heard shots, but it's closed, which is a little bit weird. But even though I do check it out, and I can confirm that no one's looted these jackets, and that means we're gonna try this out anyways. So these shots, I wasn't aware of their exact location, but the loot was untouched and the door was closed. So again, I try to be a little bit more aggressive here. I tend normally not to rush around here too much because of, again, audio cues is very, very important. But since I heard shots, that person must have either that won the fight, must have looted the person, and then either left, because I've been keeping a keen eye on this place and my sound been available just to check if anyone's moving or anything. And I haven't heard or seen anything. So I'm a little bit more daring, if you will. There's a jacket on the right-hand side, and there's also a toolbox on the side, and in the house is a jacket, toolbox, and a duffel bag. So again, there's plenty of loot. Even if people have been here before you, and you miss out on the jackets, you still get all the duffel bags and all the toolboxes, which can house a lot of profitable loot, especially early in a wipe. So I'm even checking these, just to show you guys. Here's a duffel bag, for example, with trash in it. You can eat that to scale your metabolism. Since I heard shots, I didn't want to keep my stuff, weapon. I want to keep my weapon free. The pack of nails are very, very valuable. Again, all of these things are very valuable. So I tend to move out the backside here because it's less people usually have track of this place. So I keep a quick glance on the sides before I rush out. And then I go to the last 2 key spots for this place. So in this location, I just keep a look on the side of the wall if there's any scabs running for the Svetli dead end extract, which I just passed. And there's a jacket spawn right in here in the wooden shed here to the left. Double check every corner because I'm getting a little bit paranoid. And I realize that that one has now been looted, which means that someone's been here. And then I start checking out in the windows if anyone's still around, just in case if somebody's heard me, because I haven't been very sneaky. I check that one, I notice it's closed. I even go in to double check if the loot bag's been there as well, because someone's been thorough, and then confirm that that person has been looting that as well. However, the other jackets were untouched, and with that in mind, I decided to be a little bit more careful and simply just take this as a call for now. It's time to get out. I already have full bags. I should have left before even going to this side. And there's a toolbox in the garage, if you will. Stopping just to queue up the sound. And I do believe I checked it out. I did check the toolbox as well. I had an open spot. So basically, what this is all about is making sure that you, well, the screw nuts are crazy good in terms of profits. It's all about making sure that you have a set goal of what you want to do with a raid. The reason I really like this specific run is because of the fact that even if I die and I put keys in my bag, I can still get things like factor keys and whatnot with the charges. I can sell most of the keys for the same price to the vendors. Some of the keys I actually want to use rather than spending a lot of money. And the keys can vary. Like this run wasn't very profitable, but it was still a little bit of profit. It's also one of those runs where I don't go in as a hatchling or just a pistol run. I'm actually enjoying the run. I did get a PMC kill, but there's also some scav action in this run. And I feel comfortable with that because it's more active play than just doing a money run for the purpose of running mindlessly to a spot to loot. And if you're not there first, then you die and rinse repeat. Do keep in mind you want to check the boards on the sides because sometimes they can have a pack of nails, screws, and whatnot. In this case, there's a wrench. That wrench alone is about 40 to 50,000 rubles at the moment, and it's one spot in the bag. It's definitely worth looting. And I did throw out the wrong item. And notice now after the run itself, again, you'll learn this from keeping track of the flea market. So in this case, then we're just going to head for extraction and call it a day. So this is not the best money-making strategy. It is, in my opinion, a more enjoyable money-making strategy, and it's what I'm running at. I think it's very fun because there is scav action, and there's also some situations where other people will be potentially crossing your path. However, what's really nice with that is that in more cases than not, you're pretty much guaranteeing that the people that you encounter are not super decked out, because most of the people running Shoreline that goes in with super decked out gear, the first thing they do is head to Resort. And the only time we're close to Resort is when we go to Terminal, which could be the only sketchy or dangerous position to be in. So, as mentioned, not the best, definitely not the most boring approach at least. And if you die, you're still going to profit, which I really appreciate with a specific run. And a little bit of action. That's always fun. But yeah, that's my tip for new players, because mostly now with the changes to the flea market where you have to find the items in raid, this really helps. And I really hate checking out these money-making guides you see here on YouTube where people telling you to do this and that and this, but as soon as you die and you get the stuff to find in raid, suddenly that run is completely useless. Whereas this one would work. Now, usually I bring in a little bit more gear than I should need. You can do this with nothing and a pistol. All you have to do is kill a scav or two here and there. And that's about it. Anyways, boys, there's going to be a bit more EFT content on this channel. So if this is something you enjoy watching for me to do, I'll definitely get some more new player tips out there for you boys. Something that I've been experiencing as I'm still, well, I would consider myself a new player and I'm learning the ropes. But I feel like I want to share that with you guys. If you guys like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, and comment for more content on this channel for this. And in the coming weeks, we're going to see a lot of Path of Exile stuff coming out as well. Anyways, boys, as always, till next time, stay safe and keep rocking.